Today, we're going to talk about what every first time mom wants to say to her mother in law. Because let me just say, grandmas to be, that what you think you're saying during those very volatile moments is not actually what you're communicating to us as young moms. This is often why sometimes relationships can quickly go into a rocky start when it comes to the situation surrounding our babies. So, for example, the first thing that you might say to your daughter in law is, "Oh, well, I'll just come to the hospital and I'll wait in the waiting room, until the baby is born." Well, what you think you're saying is, "I am so excited to support your new family. I just want you to know that I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can. So that way, when you're ready for me to be there, I am already there ready to support you." Well, what we hear as young moms is, "I'm going to show up and I'm going to make sure that you feel obligated and manipulated because you already know that I'm in the waiting room while you deliver the baby." And also because we also know that sometimes delivery can take an extended period of time, I just want to make sure that you feel extra obligation that as soon as your baby arrives, I'm invited into the nursery to meet said grandbaby. Even though grandmas, that may not be your intention. That is what we feel. So how can you maybe present this suggestion or your intent in a much better way? One thing that I would suggest is to communicate your intention, not your actions. The action is, "Oh, I'm going to show up at the hospital and I'll wait in the waiting room until the baby arrives." That's an action, right? No, you need to communicate your intention. Your intention is, "Hey, I want to support you guys in whatever way that is. I would love to be at the hospital as soon as your baby is born, but I also understand if you really don't want me there. So why don't you let me know when you're ready for me to be at the hospital so that way I can be there to just love and support you." Okay, that's your intention. That will be received way better than you kind of explaining what your actions are going to be. Let's take another example. You're at your daughter-in-law's house, you're helping out, right? You know how exhausting it can be. You want to kind of set up this precedent with her that you can take care of the baby while she is resting. So what do? The baby's hungry. You just go ahead and decide to give the baby formula. You're thinking, "Oh, this is great. I know how exhausted she is. I'm making sure that she can rest more." Lots of moms feed their baby formula. The baby will be fine. She can continue to breastfeed and nurse the baby when she wakes up. You think you've done something great. Well, what happens when mom wakes up? She realizes now that her baby's not hungry, is not going to nurse well, and she's already struggling with trying to have a successful breastfeeding experience. Her milk may not have come in, or maybe she's trying to get her milk come in. She may be feeling extremely, full and bloated and uncomfortable. And now she's going to have to go and do the physical, exhausting process of pumping to relieve some discomfort. And she's lost out on the bonding experience with her baby. You've basically just inserted yourself into her maternal role and replaced her in the very pivotal, poignant moments where she's trying to figure out how to do all of these really important tasks of making sure that her baby is cared for. So what would be a better option instead? Okay, if her husband is there, send your son in to wake her up and ask her if she wants to wake up and feed the baby and then go back to bed. Now, if your son is not there to go in and wake her up, knock on the door, quietly enter the room, wake her up gently and say, "Hey, I think the baby might be hungry. Do you want a nurse? And then I'll take the baby so you can go and rest." Now, in this situation, you are communicating some actionable options, but you're giving her the choice of making that determination on her own. You're not robbing her of the decision of how her baby should be fed, as well as how her body is going to act and react to the action that you have decided for her. The other one that I know that irks young moms to no end is when you show up and you say the phrase, "How's my baby?" Now, I understand that maybe you're so excited for your grandchild and you're just so incredibly happy to see them. But when you use that phrase, what that communicates to us, regardless of what age we are, or if it's our first or second or third baby, is that we are downgraded to basically a surrogate. that our whole process and this entire family structure was just to provide an heir and just for you to be able to come in and take over the motherly, nurturing role of our child. And that our child should not look at us as a mother, but they should actually focus all of that love and attention towards you, and we are a glorified nanny. Now, if that's not what you're trying to communicate to your daughter-in-law, which if you're watching this episode, that's probably not your intention whatsoever at all. Like, I believe you have a really generous heart towards your family. So if you don't feel that way and you don't want to communicate that message to your daughter-in-law, then don't talk to your grandkids as though they were your own. Very similarly to how irksome that "how's my baby" phrase is also when we set out a boundary of you not kissing our baby and you brush it off and say, "Oh, well, I just can't help myself. I'm going to kiss the baby." What you think you're communicating is, "I'm not sick. I would never do anything to intentionally harm or hurt the baby. You're probably way overreacting." But what we hear is, "I'm not interested in your boundaries nor the fact that you're trying to protect your baby. I'm going to do my own thing instead." And this is by far one of the worst things that you can do in your future relationship between your daughter-in-law and any of your future grandkids, because essentially our perspective of why we set that boundary is due to some health and risk concerns. And if you are blatantly disregarding to our face that you are not going to accept and respect the boundary that we are putting around our child to protect them, which is in our instinct and our nature, our mama bear is going to rise up within us, whether we display it to you or not. And just let me say, I have heard some moms in their private conversations where they have said that they are going to sever the entire relationship because they cannot trust their mother-in-law because of the dangers associated with this risk. It is not acceptable to blatantly say that you are not going to accept or respect that boundary and then demonstrate that you are going to cross that boundary in any opportunity that you have possible. Because what that is demonstrating to us as a mom is that there is no way that we can trust you with our child, present or not present. So if you ever hope to have any relationship with our child, supervised or not, you can better believe that we will make sure that you are not left alone nor trusted with our child because you have demonstrated to our face that you are untrustworthy. If you are at this point in our conversation, you're like taking notes and you're like, okay, but how can I nurture a really good relationship with my daughter-in-law given that my grandchild is going to be born and I want to make sure that they do understand that I'm here to support and love and care for them, but I'm also willing to respect their boundaries. Here's some things that I would encourage you to do. The first one is every grandparent has a superpower. So, for example, my mother-in-law, she is an excellent gardener. So when she came over to my house after I newly had my baby, she not only brought food, but she also looked out my window and realized, wow, your garden is overrun with weeds. And she knew how challenging it was for me to be able to go out and care for that because I had a newborn. And so in her superpower mode, she asked permission if she could go weed my garden. And let me just say, it was so nice knowing that she offered that because that was one thing that I knew that I was not going to be able to handle. Maybe your superpower is laundry. Maybe you can just make sure that all the clothes smell amazing and you can get out any stain, or maybe it's that you're great at serving. Maybe you can make sure that your daughter-in-law is weighted on hand and foot and she does not have to lift a single finger while you're there visiting. So think about your superpower and see if maybe that's something that would be incredibly helpful to your daughter-in-law, because we obviously know you're gonna want to snuggle and hold the baby. We get it, but also we've been carrying this baby for 9 months and we want to hold it in our arms too. So if you're visiting for a long duration of time, and by a long duration of time, I mean over a day, you better believe that you should not be the only one burping and rocking and holding and snuggling that baby, okay? We want to hold and snuggle our own baby too. Now, navigating any conversation with your daughter in law when it comes to your future grandbabies is always really challenging. So, here's a tip: leave it as a question, not a statement. This gives your daughter in law some autonomy over the situation. Allow her to trust and build confidence in knowing that she can communicate with you, but will also help establish a better bond, knowing that she can understand your initial intention and that you're willing to respect whatever boundary or stipulation they give you, because you're not trying to force yourself into or manipulate the situation. Now it's your turn. I would love to hear some of the situations that have occurred in your life where maybe you thought you were communicating one thing, but it was received completely different. And we can continue this conversation in the comments. If you know of another mom that might benefit from this conversation, share it with her and see what her thoughts are on it too. Until next time, create your own heart home.